Hey there, and welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal Network. I am Dave Duz, and with me, as always, is Andy Edwards from Nomadic Rain and Kirk Houghton from Screen Blast Repeat. How you doing, Andy?
Very well, thanks, Dave. How are you doing?
Wonderful on this lovely sunny. You can see the sun basting me on this Sunday morning. Kirk, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does some of the viewers for ADK Rock and Metal Network think your surname is Duz?
Yeah, it is now. I'm the double
No.
D man.
His
Dave
surname
does
is
danger. I'm the
double
triple
Z.
D. I've got to promote the other channel. Dave does, man. Dave
Dave
does.
does, man. Dave does. And they probably
Sometimes
think
he
I'm in a
doesn't.
band called
It
Screen Blast
depends.
Repeat.
Sometimes I does, sometimes I doesn't.
He does what?
Uh, Today we are going to be looking back at the review of our most recent live shows, which was the ADK Presents, which is primarily out of the 66 Bar in Cambridge. We are looking back at the 24th of April 2025. We have four bands that competed, or not competed, played. We just say competed like we just did the Metal to the Masses review, but played on the night, and we had opening out the night. We had Smoke Over Elsewhere from Nottingham way. We
Yeah.
had Buried on Sunday after that from Cambridge. We had Scribe, we're Hertfordshire based, and we had Vicious Nature from Birmingham. First, before we get into it, talk about each and every band on the lineup. Just a big thank you to all bands for coming out on a Thursday night, putting on a great show. I think everyone put a lot of effort into their performances. We'll talk about those individually. Just a big thank you for working together. Obviously, I was there with the band, obviously with Telescribe, but obviously working with them, making sure sound checks, swap over of equipment went smoothly. So just a big thank you for everyone who did it, and of course, thank you to everyone that came out to support. We're going to put some footage up from everyone's show. We'll put one clip up after we've talked about them. But let's talk about first band kicking off, Smoke Over Elsewhere. Who dropped in because we lost, obviously, Silverhex, who were our opening band originally, have disbanded, unfortunately. So they jumped on the bill for us, drove all the way down from Nottingham. The funniest thing for me was obviously they were the last band to soundcheck, first band being on the bill, and they got stuck in traffic. So like 6:45, so 15 minutes before the door, they've turned up and literally are like, "Hi guys, do you want to get straight on the stage? Get up there, get up there, get up. Right, let's get you sound checked." And then I had to go up to the sound check. Went, "You've just driven 2.5 hours, and the first thing you get done is get on stage and sound check." So I did apologise and said, "Well, also welcome to the area. Nice to see you and all that lot as well." But they did literally get 2.5 hours and just got thrown on the stage to get their sound check done. So thank you for putting up with that and obviously putting it in. But thoughts about the band, Andy? Let's kick off with you. Smoke Over Elsewhere.
Very different from the sort of usual stuff I listen to, but I did enjoy their set. I'm always impressed with sort of the lineup of bands like this, where it's like a guitarist, vocalist, and a bass player and a drummer, because they always create a big sound. You know, from those three instruments, you know, there's always a great performance and a great sound, and I'm always impressed with vocalists and singers and play guitar as well. But they did, you know, came across really, really well. I can't really remember. You know, it's kind of rock, bit of punk element in there as well. I wasn't 100% concentrating on their performance, if I'm honest, because I knew it wasn't my sort of music. And that's no disrespect to them, but the performance was really good. They looked sort of very sort of professional as well, and looked like they enjoyed what they were doing. So yeah, good start.
Kirk?
Yeah, this was when they first came on stage. Three-piece, there's no place to hide if you're a three-piece. So that, you've all got to be performing at your best. And the first song I was just thinking, this just sounds like something off Insecticide by Nirvana. Low information, just 3-chord punk rock, really noisy, really heavy bass. So I thought, a whole set of this is not really going to be too original. And then I'm delighted to say, he seemed to change direction. Each song had a different personality. The next one, and the singer was wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt, was like a stoner metal version of Led Zeppelin. The bass player was superb. She was carrying the riffs. So the riffs are obviously written on guitar, and she's turned up so loud in the mix, and that allowed the vocalist and guitar player to start exploring other parts of his fretboard, and he did that like grungy noise rock way as well. He was a really good musician. But I said to you, didn't I, during the set, I elbowed you and I said, this drummer is a beast, because I knew you were playing tonight. I said, is he going to set the bar? Because you must have looked at that and thought, fucking hell, I need to be on my game tonight. Thought he was superb. He was putting fills in everywhere. It was like watching a young Dave Grohl. So yeah, his voice, a cross between Lemmy and Billy Idol, I thought as well.
Okay.
It really, I thought towards the end they won me over, and they were heavy. I mean, I did find it funny when they said, right, okay, we're gonna tune to drop D now, gonna go a bit heavier. I was like, fucking hell, is this 1994? Because remember in the 90s, it's like, wow, I've down-tuned my guitar to D.
Yeah.
And like, who actually plays in drop D now? But yeah, a real good storyteller as a vocalist as well. And the bass player, yeah, she was playing some monumental riffs. Did she get...
she locked her finger.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean,
she couldn't actually play properly because she basically, her whole fat hand locked in position.
I'm not surprised.
She was trying to basically loosen it on the last two songs.
If you're chugging the bass strings with like, 2mm plectrum, because that is heavy music she was playing, that's going to take a lot out of you. But yeah, good start to the night, and a lot better than I was expecting after hearing that first song, which I wasn't really a fan of.
Yeah, I enjoyed the band. It was I kind of got that early grunge vibe. There's also like elements of sort of in the guitar tone, and some of it's like Helmet, and there's a sort of slight industrial element. Watching them, my favourite part of this was with the bass player. She's singing along the lyrics, and a lot of time people become self-conscious when they're playing that they can't just enjoy and be part of the song. They're too busy focusing on their riff or what they're playing. But she was basically strumming this bass line, and which is not always a good thing to strum. It's better to just downpick to get that clarity, but she can get away with it. But she's just singing the choruses, she's singing the verses. She was just having the time of her life. And yeah, great drumming. Love the interaction with the crowd. If you haven't got a massive crowd, it can sometimes be disheartening. But they were still talking like you'd pack the place out to 150 people, and they're talking like you're playing to this massive crowd. And we'll talk about that as each band goes on, about that whole kind of experience of crowd engagement, even when you haven't got a massive crowd. But yeah, I was really impressed with them coming down, and it's the fact they drove all the way down from Nottingham, and they pretty much stayed till part of the way through the Vicious Nature set, and I'm like, you've got to drive back to Nottingham tonight. Fair play. I mean, that's a lot of fair play for that, for staying around. Out of all the bands that I kind of expected that would have to leave earlier, they were the one that I was kind of like, well, they'll probably stay around till after Buried on Sunday, and then probably have to start their drive back because they've got a long journey. But no, full respect to the band for sticking around as late as they did, because they probably didn't get in till gone probably 1 a.m. or something like that by the time they got in. So fair play to them. Yeah, really enjoyed them. And here's a full track from Smoke Over Elsewhere. Okay, so next up we had Buried on Sunday. This was minus Sam on bass, so Sam has left the band. So we had the more recent addition guitarist who is now filling in on bass for this one particular show. Sounded great still. They still sounded really full to me. We had is it Rob vocals?
Toby vocals.
Yeah, sorry.
It is Rob. Sorry, Toby.
I was going to say I was Toby's guitarist, isn't it?
Yeah,
but, so we had Rob with a cracked rib, and you could see when he was trying to do some of his real high notes, you could see him going, "Oh bloody hell!" when he was straining.
Yeah.
Hard to go. Yeah.
They were full on. But yeah, great performance from Buried on Sunday. I really enjoyed what they're doing. Theirs was a real challenge. They were talking to them before. They were having a bit of a stress out because they didn't get a sound check because their bass player, or the bass player for the night, and drummer hadn't turned up when they were meant to, and they were getting a bit stressed. And this is always a problem with a band if communication has fallen apart on the night, and you start taking it annoyed. You get annoyed by it because you can tell the guys are getting a bit wound up by things because people hadn't turned up when they were meant to turn up. So you can get that kind of frustration, and we've all been there as a band when someone says they're going to be there at a certain time and they just, "Oh, I've only just left." "What do you mean you just left? You should be here by now," sort of thing. You're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" That sort of thing. But they put it all together, went on stage, played an absolute blinding set. Thoughts, Kirk?
Yeah, sorry, just clarify. I was speaking to Toby in the set after, and he had to drive to Birmingham because he was staying over in a hotel and had work the next day, so he really wanted to stay around to watch Vicious Nature. Unfortunately, because of work commitments, he couldn't. Am I right in thinking they had to adjust the set because Rob's cracked rib, because they didn't play a lot of the heavier stuff? They went for the real hard rocking, good-natured stuff, didn't they? And towards the end, when Rob was doing Heart of Gold, which we all love that song, understandably he wasn't going for the high notes, was he? No. In the chorus, that would have exacerbated his health condition. But you wouldn't know though, if that was your first time seeing them. There was a lot of energy in that, wasn't there? And Toby looked great, with his rimmed hat on, and when he was doing his solos, that was like listening to Mike McCready of Pearl Jam, on the first Pearl Jam album. Some really tasteful blues wah-wah soloing. The bass, Andy, we said, didn't they, how heavy did it sound? I think that worked in their favour. You'd think he was a bass player, the guy who obviously is who's the rhythm guitar player. He did a great job, and they actually, dare I say it, they might sound even better slimmed down to a 4-piece, because you've got more equilibrium. Yeah, like you could hear the plectrum grinding against the bass strings. The set didn't seem like it was half an hour, and then track
25 minutes.
Was it? Right. Track number 3 was so good. I was listening to just the lyrics, the storyline, and we thought that was a cover, didn't we? We were like, this is really intelligent pop writing in a rock format. And then they did a cover, the next song, which I didn't recognize, but I haven't interviewed this band before, and I know them quite well. They could put out a 12-track album every year. Honestly, they are so productive. Hence, when you said, Dave, in the past, at Metal to the Masses, they've played a cover, and you're thinking, you've got like 2 hours worth of original content. And that shows you how strong this band is. They can do a set list to accommodate the singer's, cracked rib. That's how much material they've got. Yeah, if they were doing a gig and there were heavier bands on and Rob didn't have that issue, they would have just done all their bangers, their Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine type stuff as well. So I think these are well respected on the circuit, and understandably so.
What's your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, I really like Buried on Sunday, and I've seen them several times as a 4-piece in various sort of settings and gigs and everything. So I think that the sound was great. The bass was high in the mix. It didn't have too much of a distorted tone on it. It really did complement the song. Toby makes playing effortless, especially on the solos, and so much clarity, note perfect, really, really good. And yeah, I had a discussion with Rob and Toby afterwards, and they did sort of adjust the set so that Rob wasn't exerting himself too much, but really enjoyed Heart of Gold, title track of their album. That's a really great song. And the one you were talking about, Kirk, where you sort of was following the storyline of the lyrics, to me that sounded like a sort of late 70s UK punk cover.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard them play it before. It was sort of recognisable, but it wasn't sort of the usual Buried on Sunday track. It did sound like a punk cover, but that was really good as well. And then I didn't know the cover either, but he's got such good stage presence, Rob, that he kind of sort of implied that you might not recognise this cover. It could be one of ours. If it is, great. And they've got that adaptability, as you said. They're obviously so well rehearsed and know their songs so well that they can adjust the set to the gig they're playing, or for reasons such as Rob's sort of inconvenience of his rib injury and everything. But yeah, great performance. Really enjoys watching their Buried on Sunday, and it flew by. It was perhaps a little bit shorter than usual, but I was disappointed when it came to the last track. But yeah, really enjoyed Buried on Sunday. Always do.
Okay, well, here we go. This is Buried on Sunday, live at the 6-6 bar.
Come on. Glass is a verb where I come from. I grab a tin in my hand and put the telly on, and I'll take pride in my work for all the jobs I've got. Paying peanuts, getting my kids, yeah, it's all gone wrong. Hey! Robin's got a tag, nothing talks saying racist. He's got a black friend, so he can't be racist. One car between us, but nobody's got a license. We all live in a state of cattle houses and violence. And the few dodgy deals with the few dodgy men. I saw my grand's new screws up just to pay that rent. Just it all in a nightclub on hashtag close. With my dreams go up in a puff of smoke. Got it! I'll have a cup of tea to a shower taste, to a few lines till it comes my face. He's under to one, but he's in our place. I've got to sit down and feel I'm with this race. Been on the go since the day I was born. This life is the only thing keeping me warm. Holding me down, but there's no time to mourn. Sparks in your night and the dust in the dawn. Hey! has run its course. Hey! I'll never cup of tea to a shout and taste. To a few lines and it melts my face. Cause I'm good to one that is in the race. Gotta slip down and win this race. The sins of my fathers were sent to the king. And the shot that I made that's the back of the room. If you're wearing trainers they won't let you in. A town where survival is single. Swim in your lager. Try to wash the filth away. But my soul is just as dirty as the street. Starting as a kid, but now I'm sleeping all day. And I can never get the stains out of this stolen hotel bed. I'll have a cup of tea to a shotgun taste. To a few lines and it numbs my face. He's under to one but he's in last place. Gotta sit down and win this race. Been on the go since the day I was born. Cycle's the only thing keeping me warm. Hoping he died but there's no time to mourn. Party all night and the clock's still gone. The sins of my fathers were sent to the king. And he shot down mate that's back off the rim. You're wearing trainers, they won't let you in. The town where survival is sink or swim. Sink or swim! Never sink or swim. Sink or swim. Sink or swim. That was called Sink or Swim if you couldn't tell.
Okay, so next up we have Scribe. I'll go last because I can't really talk about the actual performance. Obviously, I can tell you about it based on what you tell me. What some of the issues we might have had on the night from being behind the drum kit. I can tell you there's a few issues that we had on stage.
Okay.
But we'll come to those at the end. But thoughts on Scribe? Because you guys have seen us play live a few times now. So Andy,
Yeah, I don't think there's been many, if any, performances that I've not seen you, to be honest. Maybe one or two.
The Horn. I don't think you guys are at the Horn.
Yeah, you haven't got a huge number of gigs behind you, have you? But
no.
I'm interested to hear what these issues were. I mean, Kim did sort of forget a lyric and sort of just pause to the end of the line before rejoining the song. But that's the only mistake I've ever heard any of you do. You said wanted to just restart the intro to one song on one gig, but again, what is that? Nothing to worry about. You, from the very outset, looked like you were smashing the shit out of your kit. I don't know if you had a tough day or the frustrations of putting on a local show and all the problems that come with that. I don't know, but you
That's just my playing, I think.
yeah, that's your playing style. It looks another level today, Thursday night. Sorry. Yeah, so I really love your material. Some of my favourite tracks were played. Grey Mist and Beyond. Love it when Kim does that ambitious vocal delivery on the chorus of Beyond.
Oh, the operatic thing.
Yeah, the operatic bit. I know both of you are not necessarily huge fans of that in that particular song, but I think she always nails it, does really, really well, and it's a strong, it's a difficult undertaking to do because it could, her voice could go mid section and it messes up the whole song, and you could play safe, not play that track at all live. But you strip down the costumes as well. I don't know if you thought it was going to be a hot night on stage, but there's just the waistcoats and the overcoats were dispensed of, just sort of the.
Yeah, I'll go into that. I'll go into that at the end. Okay. Yeah, no worries. I'll talk about the stage look.
But yeah, sound was great, as it was all night. I don't know, has that guy done sound for the ADK shows before? It's not wasn't our usual
No,
job.
so Sam was new for us for sound, so
yeah.
Sound was an issue for us, but from the front of the house it seems fine.
Yeah, I mean, from what you've said about the other bands and arrival times, I think it sounds like the sound man's had a few challenges as well to undertake, getting everything done.
Yeah, because we didn't sound check either. So
okay.
The only sound check was Vicious Nature and the first band got sound check.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so the sound was great all night. Was for you guys as well. Really enjoyed the set. I wasn't sure if you do Mr. Crowley, but you did sort of mid set. That came across really good. Again, you realise how different your version is with the sort of guitar intro, which is like a keyboard synth on the Aussie sort of recorded version and live probably as well. That came across really, really well as well. Great set. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. But Kirk's next.
Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah, there were no problems. Front of house sound, I thought there was good clarity. I mean, sometimes, as you pointed out, Dave, if you were at the back on the door, that's where you can get the best analysis of whether it is coming through. But it was fine on there. I think that's the first time I've seen you where there's not the backing tracks and the narrative in between songs.
Okay.
Which at first was like, what's going on here? Because I'm so used to it. Things I've learned from that set, Raising the Dead, absolutely agree. Playing that last, I think that is the best song you've got now. It's like with Scarlet Envy, Bleed for Me. I think that could be that type of song where everyone's going to expect that to be last. And the reason why is that bridge. And then the tempo change to the chorus, and there's even a thrash metal element. It's fucking brilliant, that song, I've got to say. I could have that on repeat. The Beyond, I have grown to it now. I actually enjoyed the operatics. Do you remember my original criticism?
You hated it.
You'd normally have some strings or some orchestral hits to go with it, and it felt a bit naked in the mix just with distorted guitars. Came across really well. Yeah, I was Mr. Crowley. Of course, I was just concentrating on Mike playing the guitar and just watching him. Phenomenal. And I was stood next to Toby from Bound on Sunday during that, and we were just saying, fucking hell. You know, the Randy Rhoads neoclassical element, Mike really captured that. And how many times I say it, he just sweet picks the fun, this guy. It's remarkable to see. Yeah, I thought on drums, I agree with Andy, you were up for it. And I think we learned as well two things watching your set. I know that you're a gothic metal band, so you expect an element of the sinister, but even the music, there's certain songs that do sound quite evil, where you could put that on with, you know, like a macabre death metal band, and it wouldn't be out of place. And then also, I think you don't get enough credit as a band. It's highly technical, the music you're playing, like the number of times you're following like scale patterns on guitars, you know, you're not just doing your usual fill at the end of the bar, and a lot of tempo changes in there, probably a lot heavier than people expect. Tell the Scribe, to me, you just close your eyes, you'd be like, okay, there's Paradise Lost in here, you've got elements of thrash in there as well, there's a ghoulish macabre element to it, and then you've got these splendid melodic vocals, so there's a lot of different textures going on there. And if you really do it justice, especially that concept of the first album, it is quite sinister music, and I don't just mean that in a gleeful, you know, comic book way either. There are some quite extreme elements to it musically, and to be fair, I've always said Mike does that with Scarlet Envy. You actually listen, even though they're writing pop format songs, the number of times he's playing like mellow death riffs and putting in some, you know, really tech death moments. It's really interesting, and yeah, it's good to, because I know how your songwriting works as a band, that it's not just one songwriter, you're always swapping ideas. Comes across really well on stage. Perhaps the only sound issue looking back now is that maybe Dan's bass probably was a bit too deadpan. You know, he likes to upstroke with his fingers, doesn't he? I think there might be one or two songs where I think the plectrum would be good, because it'd give an even more chugging element, especially to those faster parts. But yeah, great set. I always enjoy watching it, and you know, you can just focus on Kim, you can focus on you on drums, Dan. It's good to see that you're all got your intricate parts and enjoying playing them.
Good backing vocals as always from Dan and Mike as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always a key element as well for me.
Cool. I mean, we had no sound check, so we were running in ears, which we use in the rehearsal studio with no real major issue, and for whatever reason, so they're already preset with all our levels. When we all put our in-ears in and went to start playing, all our levels are wrong, and they're all controlled through our own the sound guy can't change that. All he can do is send us some kick pattern. He can't change anything for us. He'll take our feed and then he'll mix it for the front of house so you can hear it. So what I heard was Yusuf really, really, really loud in my ear, which I couldn't change, literally drowning me out, over distorted. A little bit of Mike, no bass, and a tiny bit of Kim. was all I could hear through my in-ears. So part of me hitting the drums as loud as it was because I had my in-ears in. I couldn't fucking hear anything I was playing, apart from being drowned out by you. So on the first song, you'll actually see I actually had one ear out.
Yeah. I know, so,
But because I then have no monitor on stage, all I can then hear is my cymbals at that point. So I'm smashing away, and I'm like, now I can't hear anything apart from a distorted guitar in one ear and my cymbals. And if Mike's playing the main riff, I can't see. So that's why on Grey Mist, I think it is, Mike faces me.
Oh yeah.
And he's like that because I've got to count and follow that. And I can't hear him, so he's playing it so I can watch what he's doing, so I know when to come in, because he can't hear me either. Found out afterwards all of our in-ears were wrong. The only person who had a good in-ears was Yusuf. The rest of us couldn't hear each other because all we could hear was fucking Yusuf the whole way through the set.
So if you'd have had a sound check, would you have been able to iron that out? Is that what you're saying?
We would have still needed Mike to have his laptop so we could have adjusted it. For whatever reason, we're not sure what this happened the same at the horn. So in the horn, I just flipped my in-ears out completely and just played without in-ears because I had a stage monitor at that point, so I was okay. But it did make it a challenge, which means you spend more time focusing on what you're trying to do. My other big issue, there was a couple of things, like you said rightfully on Beyond. Kim did what she sometimes does in rehearsal, where she basically dropped a bar's worth of lyrics, so she skipped a bar. So instead of 4 bars of lyrics, she did 3 bars of lyrics. So she did bar 1, bar 2, and bar 4, and missed bar 3. So she finishes the end of the chorus, and we've still got another fucking bar of this to go yet. But luckily, we all knew what we were doing. We played it to the end of the 4 bars, and then we carried on. And the other time, if you were watching it close enough on stage, you're probably lucky because I'm hidden at the back. During the solo on Bella, there's like a mid-section over the solo. It's like we give this that solid breakdown. I lost track of where I was, so I'm looking at Yusuf going, "Is it now we finish? Is it now? Is it this one? This one?" He's like nodding me. I'm like, "Is it? Are you sure?" And I'm not sure if he's headbanging. I'm like, "Fuck it, stop!" And we all just smiled at each other. I was like, "Fuck, it was the right time, brilliant, yeah."
So you were highly stressed, basically. I think that's
I was stressed out, and the other thing, my major problem I had was behind the drums, which it's not Vicious Nature's fault or John's fault, because I was fully allowed to move the kick drum if I wanted to, but what he's got is he's got his kick drum to the side and his rack toms to the left of the kick drum on a separate stand, and he has his ride cymbal come in over the top of the kick drum, which meant is when I normally play, my high toms are in front of me, floor tom there. So when I do my fills, I do that movement. Now suddenly my toms are over here, so I have to go and then down. So on Grey Mist, there's a fill at the beginning. I completely balls it up because my hand went to do that and to go there, and I'm like, oh fuck, shit, because the layout on the drums was all completely wrong.
That's always been a challenge.
Comfort zone in this gig, then basically everything that could.
Every bit of muscle memory, I had to literally fight my muscle memory and think about what I was doing. So certain fills, which are slower fills, was fine because I could go, then I can think about it. I had to think about every fill I was playing. Whereas if it was a standardised, now John would have been fine. I could have got rid of that stand, put the toms on a different thing, plugged it into that, but it would have meant more time changing over. And I was trying to help John out, like when we did the changeover, because I know he's got problems with his leg and his back. That's why when he was setting up on stage, I was like, you just stand behind the drum kit and I will bring your cymbals out to you to save you going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to get your gear. So I'd got him to set up his cymbals downstairs in the kitchen so that I could literally run it back and forth for him to get him on stage, so he just didn't have to keep going back and forth. We were trying to make it as simple as we could for bands to do the easy changeover. But yeah, we got through it. It sounded fine on watching the video back, but when we came on stage, none of us had a clue what it sounded like out front because we just couldn't hear anything. I've never really done in-ears until we never did it in Nothing Gained, so I'm used to just having a monitor and knowing what I'm doing. So it was a bit of an odd one, but I think we kind of muddled our way through it. And for you at home, this is Scribe at 6X Bar. have our headliners. So the Vicious Nature come down from Birmingham. First time for me catching them. So obviously, Andy, this is a big band for you. I'm going to go first, so let you kind of do the tail end of this, if that's okay. Me and Kirk go first. First time catching them. Lovely guys. Had a good chat with them beforehand. Made sure they were all happy, set up, etc. So they were all set up for the show. Had seen live videos of them and was like, yeah, they're all right. They're not bad. They were so much better actually in the flesh. Sometimes the live videos don't capture the quality, but the quality and the sound of their performance was absolutely great. Watching them, it was a shame we lost so many people before they played. It was really is frustrating. But vocalist, absolutely phenomenal vocal. One of the best voices I've heard in such a long time vocally. He could have been disheartened by the crowd and put in a lackluster, but he could have been performing in front of 2,000 people the way he was performing. He was talking about the crowd like it was 2,000 people were slamming, and he absolutely delivered from a vocal point of view. You would have no idea that John had a problem with his back and his legs at this point in time on drums. He was absolutely just pounding through. All the guys put on a great performance. Songs, brilliant, absolutely their natural hooks in there. Yeah, I was absolutely... How often is it at a gig that I even stay and watch a band and stand there and watch a band and even headbang? Well, headbanging's probably a bit overstated, but I nod along to a band. That never happens, and I was doing that long because I genuinely was impressed by them, and they put on a show. It wasn't just a gig; they put on a show. So Vicious Nature, very impressed. Kirk.
Yeah, I think we've got to agree. Matt Gore, the vocalist, what a performance, what a voice, and I think that gives you hope, doesn't it? In metal, he's just shown you can be so aggressive, and you don't have to go for the growled, guttural death metal vocal. And I loved his posture. He reminded me of a gladiator. You know, when you watch the series and the gladiator's ready to hunt you down. Did you not find it? He just looked like he. When you say, oh, he's up for it. He was up here. He was off the scale, wasn't he? And great musicianship. I was really fascinated by the guitar player as well, Andy Southwell. And I don't know why. I just assumed they were like a power metal band with thrash metal elements. They weren't. They were in there, but he clearly tuned down for some of the songs as well. There's a lot of groove metal in there as well, and not just playing power chords or your standard, you know what I'm going to say, pentatonic rock. No, there wasn't. There was some really interesting dissonant intervals in there as well. Good energy. Unfortunately, I could only stay for 4 songs, and I did feel guilty about it. But I remember, as soon as they came on, within a minute, I came up to you, Andy. I said, "This is fucking metal with a capital M." You just knew it from the first minute. They were going to bring it, and I would definitely pay money to go and see these live. I'm just looking at the discography, Andy. The last EP they put out, Moment of Impact 2022, was that? Did they keep the standard on that? Was that a good record?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at Battalion the other day as well, and I don't know why, and it's not on Spotify either. But
Shadowlands.
Shadowlands is the most recent.
Yeah, I was going to say Shadowlands.
Oh, okay.
Which is where the opening songs came from, the Shadowlands EP.
And that's the one that's got Matt on vocals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Moment of Impact EP has Matt on vocals as well.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is this band does need to sort out music videos, because there's nothing with Matt in it.
No.
I'm like, but you've had all this material out, and if I want to pick out a music video, it's got to be your old lineup. That's not great.
Yeah, I think they need a sort of tech head in the camp. They're all sort of older guys, so they might not be quite as up to date with what you can do with your social medias, what you can do with video clips and that kind of thing. But yeah, they do need some music videos to accompany the Matt songs and the upcoming album as well.
Andy, thoughts then overall though?
Yeah. First of all, Dave, thank you so much for getting Vicious Nature into my home city of Cambridge. I mean, I've known the guys in the band since 2013 when I saw them at Hammerfest in Wales. They were sort of a late addition to the lineup there. Just randomly caught them on the main stage on one of the performance days, and been a fan and a friend of the band ever since. The opening tracks were from the most recent Shadowlands EP. Moment of Impact was overlooked, and I think that's and also the previous one that which is called Said, which is due to the tuning and the guitars that are used for those songs. Otherwise, they've had to bring a lot more equipment, so the set was adapted for the most recent tracks and some early classics like Fight for Your Life and Breathless. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to see them play. You're right, Dave. Like the guy from Smoke Over Everywhere, the interaction with the crowd was if it was a packed venue. Matt is a great front man. He's got a great look. He's got a almost like riot cop kind of persona. You know, the sort of what do you call it? Body armor.
Body armor, yeah.
Yeah, and the Gladiator reference is a good one, Kurt. He's encouraging you to get involved, and yeah, his vocal delivery is absolutely fantastic. Such a great range, great in between song banter as well. John JB, the drummer, I think it's his first gig back after having a hip operation last year. They played a few gigs with somebody sitting in for him. So he was probably sort of easing his way back into it, but the sound was great for a four-piece again, with Declan on bass as well, and just the one guitarist. They feel the sound. It doesn't sound like they're missing a guitarist, even on the solos. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic performance. It's just such a shame it wasn't the crowd that were there, perhaps at the very beginning, and even less so at the end. But yeah, fantastic.
I'll share with you what I said to the bands about this, because I think it's I'll share what I sent them, because I sent them the details of obviously the breakdown, because I like to be transparent with bands around what the costs were. So we ended up losing money on the night, which is fine, it happens. Total was like, we lost £49.72 was basically the overall final figure. But to give you an idea, so we did run ads. We had 3 separate ads ran for this. And we targeted Cambridge and the 30-mile surrounding area. The ads were seen 11,731 times. The ticket link was clicked 132 times, but didn't generate a single ticket sale. So we ended up spending 50 quid on ads that did nothing for the event whatsoever. Because if you look at the people that attended that event, none of those they were all people that either have come to gigs that have walked in on the door, or were friends, family, or people that were invited. So I don't know what these ads are doing for us, because spending money on ads just doesn't seem to be doing anything. And that would have meant that if we hadn't done that, we would have basically broken even on the night. The best gigs we've done are the ones where the bands have actually actively promoted themselves or really pushed it, which was like the last one with By Virtue 4, and all the bands there were heavily promoting and were really pushing, and we actually made a profit on that one. But it's such a challenge with that one. And obviously one of the biggest costs, well, apart from the sound engineer, we had to pay, because I was playing, I paid for a set door guy, and normally I would just cover the door myself, save that money. And if I'd done that for that gig, we would have basically managed to break even. So if I had covered the door and I hadn't done ads, we'd have been able to pay the bands a bit of money as well. So going forward, I'm not going to run ads. The only ad I am running is for the ADK events for the whole year ad, which has got all the bands listed.
I've seen that, yeah, with everyone.
With all the bands listed, and the fact that we have 3 for 2 tickets on all events now. So when you go into any of our events, you can go to a multi-buy discount where you click on it and you'll get free tickets for £15. So good, right? Buy for you and your friend, and keep one and bring another mate along. There you go. That's what you've got to do now going forward. But to wrap it up for today, let's go and check out Vicious Nature live from the 66 Bar. Thank you for watching, and come join us at another ADK event. Next one is the 29th of May at the 66 Bar. Take care.
This next song is System of Disorder. I'll sing and you repeat. Ready? Whoa, whoa, System of Disorder. Whoa. Whoa, hatred of the order. Whoa, whoa, system of disorder. Whoa, last one. Whoa, whoa, hatred of the order. Talk with blood, there's massacres and slaughter, annihilate, decimate, extermination, murder. We hate, I hate, dictate, loathing, protest, defeat, system of disorder. I feel the pain inside, and you feel it too. I feel the temperature rising, the inhale, sexy blood. You are amazing. Thank you so much for joining in, and we hope that you're having fun.